Welcome viewers, this is Politics Today. Hapa tunachapa siasa. So much has happened, by the way, so much has happened. Hey, believe it or not, the year is almost ending. Na Kenya Kwanza wanajitayarisha kufanya kazi au sio? Our sign language interpreter is Gideon Minor. I have a guest, a youth from the SG's party. Yeah, is it a party or a movement?
It's a movement.
Free Kenya movement. Free Kenya movement. You are the Secretary General.
I'm the National Coordinator.
National Coordinator.
Free Kenya movement.
Who is the Secretary General?
Nicholas Oyo.
Nicholas Oyo is our regular guest. Who is your chairman?
Bob Njagi.
Bob Njagi.
The famous Kitengela.
Oh my. Okay. My name is JONAH SIMBA. For those who don't know me, our guest is FELIX WAMBUA. FELIX WAMBUA, by the way, karibu sana.
Asante.
Welcome. Hapa tunachapa siasa. No abductions. No mambo funny. Filanga compact.
Asante.
How are things? Uko poa?
Niko salama.
How is Bob?
Bob is doing well. He's still recuperating from, he underwent a lot of mental torture, physical torture as well, but he is healing and strong, ready to fight on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my. When you say he underwent mental torture, what do you mean?
When you are in a room for more than 30 days,
yes,
no human interaction, that is already enough torture.
Just that lack of human interaction.
No, there is much that we could not have shared on air, so it's not a good experience, and we would not wish any member of any party or any group to undergo the same. That's why we are condemning with the strongest terms possible any abductions of our Somali brothers, of our colleagues whom we have been on the streets with.
Yes.
So we would wish that Ruto regime could find another way of countering the messages from the youths, but not abductions or torture at all. It's nasty. It amounts to affecting one's human rights. It's like infringing one's human rights.
Are there cases the other day of refugees being abducted?
Sure, it's the same thing. So
who are they?
They are Turkish gentlemen who have been working with the opposition parties from their home, that is in Turkey, and this obviously gives us an evidence that it's truly the state that has been behind the abductions.
Is it true that they were humanitarians?
No, they were not humanitarians, but they were working for the opposition,
Because
when the government,
they were funding some non-profit manenos around.
I don't know much about it, and I cannot comment about it. All I know is that Kenya has violated international laws against refugees. There is no way one can come to seek refuge in your country and you hand them back to countries that we know they are not going to get justice from.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You say what Bob, your chair, went through are things which you can't share on air.
No, he himself, I think we are going to invite him here one of these days, so that he may speak on his behalf, and speak with the audience and let Kenyans and the world know what Ruto and his cronies are doing to the abductees, to the sons and daughters of this country who are only agitating for accountability of the government, who just need a fair share of national resources. We all need employment, we all need to have good services when we go to the hospitals, we all want affordable education. Yeah.
You've heard of one Morara Kibas?
Sure, he's my good friend.
Tell me, he formed a party?
I don't know much about Inject Party, but they are working on something, and we advocate for it because there is no way we young people are going to take over the government without parties. We went to the streets saying that we are partyless, tribeless, And we didn't attach ourselves to any religion because we all have common thing that we needed, and that is good governance. Right. So now that we are preparing for 2027, they may be talking of extension or changes on the constitution to extend the term limits, but we are sure we shall conduct the next election in 2027. Any attempt to alter the constitution is an attempt to touch the hearts of Gen Zs, which is still bleeding. And we will go to the streets and ensure that we protect our constitution, as it's stated in chapter 3 of the constitution, that we as citizens must be there to protect the constitution.
You seem to have some wind that they may be altering of the elections.
It's in the air, and Senator Chirange presented a bill in the Senate where the Kenyans have to present their views, do what we call public participation. Is going to take place from yesterday till Friday. That is the duration that they have given to collect public views. But this is just a trial. It's an attempt. It's like a litmus paper. They want to see what will happen. Because now after the term limits, extension of the term limits, they may even scrap off the term limits. Because we know when Ruto says he has a plan, it's not a good plan for this country.
All right.
Yeah.
So, term limits for who? For the president?
For the president, for the MCA, for the senator, for the governor, for the MP, for the women rep, for all elected leaders.
What is the suggestion so far for an MP?
For an MP is 7 years.
They're suggesting 7 years.
MCA 7 years. All term limits for the elected leaders are 7 years. They have proposed for 7 years.
Okay. What does it take for that to happen?
It must be something that requires public participation.
Which is happening, you say?
Which is happening. And we push, we demand, this should not only stop at the Senate or the Parliament. This is something that meets the threshold to go for a referendum. A referendum which we Free Kenya have been pushing for. But we do not at all call for extension of term limits or creation of new offices like the office of Prime Minister, office of the opposition leader. That is what now we know, the deal that has been there between Ruto and Azimio. This is the so-called Nadiko report. And we know the Azimio leader Raila is behind it. We want to tell Kalonzo of
is behind what?
Is behind the term limit extension, because there is creation of his office. It's among the goodies he has been promised, so as to be funded by the state for the AUC chairmanship job. Yeah, it's good when we have a Kenyan in that office, but we do not want to trade our rights, our economic freedom, our rights as Kenyans with just one seat for one person, and make and translate or change a country that has been a republic to a monarch, to a dictatorial ruled like country. We want a country that is ruled by rule of law and that respects democracy, that respects human rights. So if they are serious that they are going to change the constitution, they must come down to Mwananchi and ask for views. If they try to ignore the voice of Mwananchi, the people's voice, what happened back in June 25th, when we said occupy the parliament, will rehappen. They will see more people on the streets than they have ever seen.
You say you're the national coordinator of Free Kenya Movement.
Sure.
What is the state of Free Kenya Movement right now, as we speak?
Free Kenya Movement is stable, and we are growing every day because our message is for the people. We are preaching one message, a message that will involve every person, every Kenyan, every citizen in the leadership of this country. We call upon all Kenyans every day to sit in barazas, what we call people's assemblies. Go there and air out your grievances. We want now this to be captured and documented, be part of the constitution, to ensure that we form a fourth tier of the government, a government that will be not only given or supervised, or a role of oversighting that has been lying squarely with the parliament and senate, should now go back to the people, and people must hold their own leaders accountable to ensure that we stop the state capture of the parliament, we stop the capture of leaders whom we elect to oversight and represent us, stop representing the tyrannies, the colonies who are coming in the name of presidents sometimes, who are coming in the name of government funders. We are there to be standby and watch whatever is happening in our country, and that's why this conversation has to be brought down to the village level.
Your Secretary General has been on this seat here,
sure,
and he has been talking about you people planning a referendum. Is
sure,
it so?
Sure.
What is the status of the signature collection? I mean, are you experiencing any frustration or success?
Yeah, as you know, when we are going for signature collection, it amounts a lot of threats from the government, because the greatest fear that the state has now is the fear of the people. Anyone who can bring 10,000 people on one podium, 20,000, 50,000, a million people is a great threat, because the state has lost grip to the people. And now we
Are you successful at all in your collection of signatures?
We are trying our best to ensure that we have online platforms to collect.
How many have you collected?
We have almost 300,000 now, and we are still pushing for more, because we need 1 million signatures to meet the threshold now for a referendum. Signatures which we are supposed to push to the IBC. We are also pushing the government to have the IBC commissioners in place, because there is a lot. There are even some constituencies that do not have their representatives as we speak, MPs and MCAs. We need to have those constituencies given their right and go for by-election for them to be represented like any other region in the national assemblies and in the county assemblies. So we are calling for this formation of IEBC soonest possible. It's actually what the Senate and Parliament should be talking about, but not things to do with extension of term limits. We have seen that the state and the parliaments and the government is trying to divert attention of Kenyans from the pressing issues to non-issues. They want us to discuss non-issues and forego at the expense of the issues that affect Kenyans.
Okay, in that case, you mean to say that Gachagua impeachment is a non-issue? It's a diversionary tactic?
Much as it's a diversionary tactic, it's an issue that will now shape the future of Kenya, how the Free Kenya government and the bread-based, not broad-based, the bread-based brothers want it to be. We may see many changes happening, not only at the office of the deputy president. We are anticipating for more room. You know, we have been saying that once Raila comes in, he will come in and take much more space than you expected. So this is a warning to the Free Kenya, the Kenya Kwanza government and officials who are already in government. You should prepare for more impeachments and more evacuations of office by the presidency of this country.
Do you mean to suggest that there is a problem with Kenyan leadership then? Is that your issue?
Kenyan leadership is one that can be narrowed down to the narrative that Gachagua has been driving.
Do you mean to
the government, the leadership of shareholding?
Would you rather Gachagua stays or leaves?
For me, I'm on a point where, as the young people, we are calling not only for Gachagua's impeachment, but an overhaul change in the government. We need even the parliament, which was given a vote of no confidence by Kenyans on 25th June during Occupy Parliament demonstrations. We are invalidating the existence of today's parliament because everything that they do is for their own good and not for the good of this country.
Fine. Gachagua goes, Ruto goes. Who takes over?
It's going to be systematic. That's why we say we want IEBC in place first. We know we have an able judiciary. We call upon the judiciary not to be compromised, not to let this country go to dogs, because the blood of Kenyans will be on them. It's the only arm of the government that Kenyans are looking up to. We keep crying in the national anthem that justice be our shield and defender. So it's only judiciary, an institution entrusted with justice in this country, that should serve that justice at all times. Now, as we call for the removal of the government, for the removal of President Ruto, we first want the IBC in place. We want to ensure that judiciary will guide us the way forward. Not only the opposition, but judiciary should take charge of whatever is happening. And in case of vacuum in leadership, we trust in the judiciary.
How many of your members do you have? You said roughly, how many members do you have?
We do not want our members to feel threatened. It's part of data privacy. We have members all over the country.
Fine.
As the coordinator, I have a leader for Nyanza, I have a leader for Northeastern, I have a leader for Coast region who reports to the Free Kenya Secretariat and who organizes our programs and who spreads our ideologies to the people in the grassroots.
Are you seeing your people voting? I mean, there's always been an issue about young people not voting at all. They may be vocal, but they don't vote.
It has come to a time that politics and decision making is going to be a key issue in every discussion that entails young people. We will not be left behind again. Much as we call for IEBC formation, we also need the Interior and PS in charge of migration and registration of persons to take it serious when we say we want issuance of IDs for Kenyans be done on time. We know there is a deliberate effort to ensure that not many young persons get IDs by 2027. We want IDs as soon as now for the young people who are leaving Form 4, who are leaving secondary schools. We also have those in college. We also have those who have lost their IDs. Let that be done swiftly, because it's our numbers, and it's our numbers that we bank on. It's in our numbers that we are sure that we are going to send Ruto and his regime home.
Come on, how many years have we done so far since this government came into power? This is just the second year.
Yeah, so and it's like a century to Kenyans.
No. They say they are still planning to start working.
It's a shame to have a government that still looks clueless. Let me allude the president. He is the one during campaign who was calling the opposition team rudderless, planless.
No,
but this time now the words truly describes him.
Don't you think that was a good calling? It was a good thing for him to summon his cabinet. Look, you went to the streets. You insisted as Gen Zs and as the youth that he does something. He sent off the whole cabinet. Was that not working?
That was an abuse to the young people.
Why?
You cannot dissolve as cabinet secretary and the whole cabinet, and bring back the same people. Bring back cronies. We did not go to streets for Raila to be given share of the government. We went to streets for accountability. We went to streets for the government to provide jobs. We went to streets to ensure that the government does not impose colonial policies through IMF.
But look here, sir. If you are called in as the young people and you say you're leaderless, partyless, who then do they take from you people? In fact, they just couldn't hold on anyone to bring them, you know. They could not bring anyone, and you accept that this is our leader.
You know, we know their tricks. Like now, you know, they have like coerced some of our members. We have some sounding names that I can tell you now are aligned to ODM, others are aligned to UDA government, because they feel that when they pick one person, the leaders, when they speak to the leaders and maybe corrupt them or bribe them, the movement or the revolution spirit is going to die. But that is not the case. Every day the streets are giving birth to new leaders. They take this one, another one is born, because we are not ready to see our parents die in poverty as we were born in poverty. We are not ready to see our parents die due to lack of health care. When you paralyze an HIF and the system and the insurance cover that you bring around is not working, what do you expect of the people? It's a government that has killed more people than any other government. It's just barely 2 years. Look at the police brutality, how many died? Look at the kidnappings, how many are lost? Look at the quarry retrieval of bodies that were retrieved the other day. How many people? Now we have an MCA from Wajir. He was found dead, dumped in a lake. We have a lady who disappeared the other day in his sleep. And the 2 daughters found dead. Are we going to live in a country full of blood? Are we going to be jumping on dead bodies every now and then as we agitate for a better Kenya? Those are the ugly questions that young people have for Ruto and any other person who wants Ruto to overstay in power.
What kind of leadership would you want? Because you want this leadership to go. What kind of lead? Who do you want to come in? We can't exist in a vacuum.
We want leadership that respects human rights. We want leadership that does not share resources on account of how a region voted. We want a leadership that will respect court orders. We want a leadership that puts its police into account and ensure that the citizens of Kenya are treated with dignity. We want leadership that does not hijack and take control of the parliament and senate, the key decision-making houses that have been elected by the people, but instead they are going to serve one person.
Definitely that would mean injecting a new crop of leadership. Is that what you mean?
We are saying fagia wote. We are going to do an overhaul cleanup. Fine. That's why we are calling for young people to prepare to vie for Senate, to vie for gubernatorial position, to vie for MCA, and even for president.
Are you sure about the leadership sanity? Are you sure about their leadership sanity? Are you conducting any civic education on leadership?
Yeah, through the people's assemblies, we are doing a lot. Much as we say we don't want corruption, why should I be corrupt? Much as we say we want a government that will serve its people regardless of their tribe or where they come from, I cannot be tribal. I cannot be judging my people with the sex. Like now, the third gender rule has never been applied in this government. We are trying to ensure that as we go to the streets, we prepare ourselves, we organize ourselves to ensure that if tomorrow I'm given the office of deputy president or president, I can do it. because it's not me leading, but I'm being guided by the Constitution of Kenya, the technocrats, the cabinet, and this country will be a country. Now we are living in a banana country.
Wow. Viewers, we are talking to none other than the National Coordinator of Free Kenya Movement, the one and only FELIX WAMBUA. I want to encourage you to prepare to give us your feedback. It's hot in here. We need some air. We need some air conditioning to be turned on for us to feel a bit relieved. It's literally heat in here. When we come back, we'll share a number for you to share. You can give us your text messages. See you after the break.